charismatic Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau seems to be stumbling into one diplomatic blunder after another on his week-long India visit. Just as it seemed that his meeting with Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh had managed to soothe ruffled feathers, there comes news and pictures of a man called Jaswal Atwal being invited to Trudeau's official events in Mumbai and Delhi. There's a picture of Justin Trudeau's wife Sophie with Atwal, who was convicted for trying to kill an Indian minister in Canada in 1986. He was sentenced to 20 years. Of course, the Canadian PM's delegation has not only cancelled those invites, but have also said they will investigate who issued them. This comes a day before Trudeau's official meeting with Prime Minister Modi. Now, why has the Trudeau trip been such a diplomatic nightmare? To speak on this, I'm joined now by Dhruva Jaishankar. He is a fellow in foreign policy studies at Brookings, India. Thanks so much, Dhruva, for speaking with us here on Bloomberg Quint. Let's begin at the beginning. There was a problem from day one, or at least a perceived problem, where Trudeau did not get the warm welcome that other top leaders have, perhaps. Has this Atwal incident just made things worse?
Well, I mean, the optics look terrible, obviously, and this is a bit of an embarrassment all around. And this has been a trip that has been dogged by a series of missteps and certainly bad optics and actually unfavorable politics as well. The crux of the problem is that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his party, the Liberal Party in Canada, have an electoral base, and amongst the very large Sikh community in India, in Canada, many of those who are supportive of the Khalistan movement or sympathetic to the Khalistan movement tend to be associated with the Liberal Party, and so in some ways I think it got off on the wrong foot because Prime Minister Trudeau did not distance himself from some of those sentiments, and so obviously this has dogged his association with India. And then, subsequently he's made statements that seem to be lecturing India about human rights, which sound, again, in this context, have not gone over well, and rightly so. Again, there seems to have been some efforts at mending fences, and he met with Captain Amrinder Singh, who had previously been barred from political activity in Canada before he was elected Chief Minister of Punjab. And so this seemed to have soothed over some of those problems, as you mentioned. But then this revelation just within the last 24 hours about the photographs of this man who has been convicted of terrorist activities in Canada and served time in prison has been particularly embarrassing.
The strange and astonishing thing about the story, Mr. Jaishankar, is that no one quite seems to know how Mr. Atwal turned up at this event in Mumbai. We've had a statement from the Ministry of External Affairs today saying that they just don't know and they'll have to check whether he was on a watch list or not. On the other hand, the Canadians are saying that we don't know how he came. He should have never been invited. They've rescinded one invitation. Can someone who is so controversial just appear at an event, being held for the Canadian Prime Minister on an international visit in this fashion?
So what we know about the case so far, and then again, a lot of things we do not know and will come out in the subsequent days, I suspect. Well, what we do know is he says that he came as a private, in a private capacity. He did not accompany the Prime Minister's delegation to India. He does have this past, and he has been convicted. I mean, I think that is quite clear and not in dispute. He has been photographed with many Liberal Party leaders, including Prime Minister Trudeau in the past, as well as many other leaders in the Liberal Party. And so he obviously does seem to have political connections to the party. Now, how he was in India, I think remains to be seen. We still don't know what visa category he was on, and different visa categories are approved by different arms of the Indian government. Many, certainly negative lists, particularly for security reasons, tend to fall under the domain of the Ministry of Home Affairs. I mean, we'll have to see what visa category he came in, but if he came as a private citizen, it's quite possible he came on an e-visa. which can be obtained online in one day. And unless you're on a negative list, you're generally not denied such a visa. And so the question would be why he was on a negative list, not on a negative list, and should he have been on a negative list? And I think, given that this happened a while ago, he served his time, he was convicted, and he does not seem to be active presently. There may be reasons why he was not on this list. So I just think until more information comes out about the circumstances of his visit, we should sort of jump to conclusions about the motivation and how much of a blunder, if at all it was a blunder, how much of a blunder it was.
Clearly it was, because the Trudeau team in India has been at pains to explain that they don't know how he showed up. So it's clearly something that is upsetting us. So in that sense, I think there's little doubt it's a diplomatic blunder.
So the optics of it, of course, are terrible, and it is obviously an embarrassment. One other thing I think you should clarify that it appears that the Canadian High Commission his name was recommended by a Liberal Party member of Parliament to be included in the invitation list, and so I think again that needs to be taken into consideration. That what this does show is that there are he's had close links to this party. But beyond that, I'm not sure we should read too much more into this as some sort of deliberate act.
Let's come back to the visit, and tomorrow, of course, will be the big meeting with Prime Minister Modi. In the background of what has happened so far, and the fact that Justin Trudeau does seem to be trying. I mean, he's going to a lot of places, being photographed a lot in an array of Indian outfits, being trolled for that as well. But are all these attempts going to lead to a final smooth meeting? At the end of it, will we see hugs and handshakes?
Well, I think we'll have to see. I mean, it's impossible to speculate all of that. I mean, there will be the official protocol associated with the prime ministerial meeting, and again, the optics of this visit so far have been terrible. And again, not just all of these embarrassments, but even I think the GQ style photo montage in front of the Taj Mahal and the sort of full Fab India outfits that he's been wearing throughout have been mercilessly mocked. But beyond that, I think this is again one prime minister, one party, one in Canada. And I think what we shouldn't overlook amidst all of this is that the India-Canada relationship is an important one and a substantive one. And this was true well before Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister. In fact, Prime Minister Modi went to Canada in 2015, just about 1 year into his term in office. He went to 3 cities there. He managed to secure a lot of investment agreements. They're a not insignificant trade partner. They're a host to 1 lakh Indian students overseas. So, I mean, there is a lot of substance to this relationship, whether it covers agriculture, investment, infrastructure, education. And this is all sort of distracting, and perhaps for the right reasons, distracting from a lot of that. But I think we shouldn't lose track of that. Ultimately, this is an important relationship, and it will continue beyond this government as well.
All right, absolutely. The diplomacy clearly will go beyond the photo ops and the many kurtas. So we'll keep an eye on what really comes out of this visit at the end of it. Thank you so much, Dhruva Jaishankar, for speaking with us.